We are capable of winning. We are able to destroy us, but we managed to really thrilled. I have no idea what I'm, ladies and gentlemen. Fasten your seatbelts, for what you're about to hear is not just another summary of a tennis match. This is a narrative about pressure, pride, and one of the most violent meltdowns in sports history in Southeast Asia. If you believed that tennis was all about being kind, gracious losers, and handshakes, you're ready to get a reality check that will make your mouth drop to the ground. We're discussing a diplomatic event under the appearance of a semi-final game, a backstage explosion that almost turned bodily, and a single, icy retort that put an end to a full tantrum in 3 in a matter of seconds. Greetings from champions again. Tennis, where we provide the unadulterated, unvarnished reality of the tales that rock the tennis world to its foundation. The narrative of today has it all. A golden female battling antagonistic crowds. Accusations of dishonesty that amount to nothing since, an altercation in the locker room that witnesses are still discussing it. Additionally, the dominance of the Vengeance performance changed the course of history. When you're done after reading this, you will comprehend why Alex Eala is more than simply a tennis player prodigy, but an official ice queen who served justice's coldest dish. Observed at the SEA Games. The stage was set in Thailand's Thapuri at the December will see the 33rd Southeast Asian Games. For those who are not acquainted with SEA Games, let me paint you a picture. Tennis. This isn't Wimbledon, where everyone drinks champagne and polite applause. This is conflict. When Thailand takes on the Philippines on a tennis court, particularly in Thai dirt, you're not only seeing an athletic event. You're seeing a struggle for dominance in the area where national pride is under jeopardy. Each serve, each volley, each grunt. The National Center for Tennis Development was overflowing with Thai admirers, who was on a single mission. Observe their Thasapur Naklo, the hero of his community, destroyed the danger posed by the Filipinos and advanced towards gold. They brought drums. They brought flags. They contributed a force that could power a little city. The sound was loud before a ball was ever hit. It was Naklo's time. Advantage of home court. The throng behind her. The strain on her rival. Everything was set up for a draw win. Festivities. On the other side of the 20-year-old Alex Eala stood in the net. Sensation, who has already created history by becoming the first person from the Philippines to win a Grand Slam singles championship at the junior level. She received training at the Rafa Nadal Spanish Academy, fought her way into the WTA Top 150, and bore the burden of a whole country's tennis aspirations on her shoulders. However, here is the problem. What distinguishes Eala from any other gifted young athlete? She has more than simply expertise. She's got ice in her blood vessels. As other players disintegrate, Eala flourishes in hostile crowds, while others allow the pressure to smother them. Eala burns it as fuel. She strolled onto that Thapuri court, is well aware of that thousands of people were in prayer. She didn't care that she failed. She had a task to do, and insufficient drums, perhaps aggressive stares or whistles, were coming to prevent her. The game began, and in a matter of minutes, it became evident that this wasn't going to be competitive. Everyone anticipated a thriller. Eala emerged very flaming. Her left-handed forehand was drawing lines that didn't belong. She was kicking her serve up and away from Naklo's backhand, which left the Thai celebrity missing and lunging. Each time Naklo attempted to create rhythm, Eala would strike a shot so superb that all momentum was lost. A demolition derby was the first set. Eala won 6 games to 1 in what seemed to last for 15 minutes. The audience went from booming to startled quiet. This wasn't meant to occur. This wasn't meant to occur. Naklo was expected to prevail. She was the house favorite. The ranks were hers. She had the throng. However, none of it was significant, because a player was standing across the net, who had previously overrun even larger phases compared to this. However, this is where things became strange. When the second set started, the beat of the match began to fall apart. Additionally, it wasn't due to tennis's quality. Courtside witnesses and spectators observed an oddity. The speed it began to drag between spots. Naklo was taking more time to service. There were instances of shoe tying that seemed to occur at a strangely suitable time moments. Towel breaks that were just a couple beats are too lengthy. Each time Eala was locked in and concentrated, prepared to serve, there would be an interruption, a delay, anything to halt the momentum. Now, to be fair, tennis involves gamesmanship. To some extent, all players do it, although the events at NABWE transcended the boundary between strategy and desperation. It was clear to anybody observing that Naklo was making every effort and anything to impede Eala's progress because she was unable to defeat her with real tennis. Additionally, the audience turned into weapons. Each time Eala threw the ball, a whistle would penetrate the air to serve from the stands someplace. Each and every she failed to serve first, and the applause were so loud that it seemed like Naklo had triumphed. The game. There were no Thai fans present to watch a game of tennis. They were present to will their player to triumph in whatever way essential, even if doing so required turning the contest into a torturous mental experience meeting. However, this is the lovely thing. Concerning champs, they don't produce justifications. They don't voice grievances to the umpire every 5 seconds. They adapt. They adjust. In any case, they prevail. And that's precisely what Alexa carried out. Although less players would have collapsed, insisted the audience be muted or lose their calmness, Eala remained trapped in her bubble. She continued to focus on the baseline. Her breathing remained steady. She ignored everything except the white lines and the yellow ball. Naklo, taking advantage of the enthusiasm of the audience and the delays favoring her, began to, in the second set, battle back. She was grunting louder, striking harder, attempting to threaten the younger person physically participant. The total score increased to for a split second. It seemed as if the Thai supporters might make the return they were yelling for it. The drums began to beat more quickly. The possibility became more audible. Naklo had her fist thumping, following each point, feeding off the chaos. However, at 4-4, the game Alex Eala did, dangling in the balance the actions of champions. Her serve was broken. She hit a winning cross-court forehand that painted the sidelines so flawlessly that even a few Thai fans were forced to give it a reluctant nod of acknowledgement. For the first time, the stadium was quiet. During the afternoon, the drumming ceased, the whistles passed away. For a brief time, everyone was aware that they were observing someone unique. Serving throughout the game, Eala didn't think twice at 5-4. She didn't tense up. She didn't provide Naklo a hint of optimism. She served with clinical accuracy and concluded the match 61-64. On paper, it was a tidy, simple triumph. Eala had outperformed her opponent in every significant manner and purchased her gold medal ticket. Match. She waved as she packed her luggage courteously to the little group of Filipino supporters who had endured the harsh surroundings and left the court, keeping her head up. The game is ended. Work completed. It's time to get ready for the final. However, the actual drama hadn't even not yet begun, because of what followed in the changing room and player tunnel region is what changed this from a tennis match. Turn a match into an official international event. Tennis matches often conclude at the net with a handshake, a brief nod of deference, perhaps a nice fit or decent good fortune in the championship game. It's among the lovely customs of the game. Even bitter rivals were able to display basic civility at that particular time. However, witnesses at the net, the handshake between Eala and Naklo were sufficiently icy to result in frostbite. Naklo hardly looked at him. Make contact. There was no grin, no recognition, only a superficial gesture of hands before she looked away. You could cut through the dense strain. Using a racket. Ever the professional, he remained unresponsive. She just gathered her belongings and left the court. However, Naklo was furious. The defeat at home in front of she was obviously being eaten by her people. Alive. Additionally, the pressure cooker that had been developing while the game was ready to blow up in a dramatic way. The players' tunnel was where it began and swiftly overflowed into the changing area. Region. Still in her Fasaporn Naklo match clothing, saturated in perspiration and surging adrenaline, supposedly came unattached. The annoyance of the defeat, the humiliation of being controlled in front of her hometown audience, the devastating weight of expectations, everything arrived erupting in a wave of rage and charges. She was walking back and moving, making extravagant gestures and speaking quickly to her coaching staff, but loud enough that everyone around might hear each and every word. What other players halted what they were doing? Mid-con, officials froze dialogue. The mood changed from tranquilly after the game to electrifying strain in seconds. At that point, Fasipor Naklo spoke the phrases that are now reverberating across sports forums and social media all around Southeast Asia. As stated by many sources that were included in the Naklo burst into a statement in the region. It startled everyone who could hear it. She let out a clear and loud scream. I am unable to just because she's Filipino doesn't mean you should appreciate her. Give that sentence some thought. For a short while, in the intensity of the moment, still feeling the pain of defeat, Eala's forehand was not attacked by Naklo. Method. She refrained from criticizing her. Serve. She didn't doubt her strategy. She made fun of her nationality. She produced it concerns Eala's birthplace rather than how she played. It was an unvarnished, brutal moment of annoyance that made things clear deeper than only being disappointed by losing a game of tennis. It revealed the fierce rivalry within the area and latent conflicts that are simmering underneath the Southeast Asian sporting scene. Naklo continued by saying that Eala had purposefully extended the interval between points, an ironic charge in light of Eala's gamesmanship and delays endured throughout the duration of the game. She said Eala had disrupted her rhythm. Purposefully. She was insisting that officials examine the outcome of the game, comprehending its allure, searching for any potential means of overturning the actual 6-1, 6-4 scoreline. The hallway became quiet. You could hear a pin drop. Other athletes who had been warming down or conversing ceased and gazed. Authorities who had been examining paperwork glanced up in shock. This wasn't typical post-match annoyance. This wasn't a player complaining about a poor line call or challenging an umpire's choice. This was a total breakdown. It went beyond each line of sportsmanship. The charge that Alex Eala, among the most calm and young, professional athletes on tour were in some way a cheat or a time waster was perplexing to everyone who had really observed the game. However, rage isn't logical. There is no frustration. Reasoning. At the very time, Naklo was neither angry nor irritated. She was searching for someone to hold accountable for her own insufficiency on the court. Now, picture in this case, you're Alex Eala. You just emerged victorious in a demanding semifinal match in one of the most antagonistic settings that are conceivable. You're physically worn out. You're mentally exhausted. You're attempting to heal and get ready for the most important final of your career at the SEA Games. And all of a sudden, you're in a corridor. The opponent is yelling that she is unable to respect you because of your nationality. The majority of players would lose it. The majority of players would approach and begin a yelling altercation that would need security to disband. We have seen it thousands of times in athletics. Anger erupts when egos collide, unpleasant things happen. However, Alexa is not the majority of gamers. She uses entirely another wavelength. Eala was perched on a seat close to the physiotherapy area, retaping her racket with composure, calming down and concentrating on her recuperation. She heard Naklo's whole diatribe. Each and every charge, insult, and assault on her ancestry and character. Everyone in the corridor was anticipating the explosion. They were anticipating Eala's leap to protect herself and yell back, to make this the kind of dramatic conflict that might dominating the news for weeks. However, Eala remained still for a long time. She just kept painstakingly recording her racket. Her entire expression unreadable. The quiet before the storm. Then, slowly and methodically, Alex Eala got to his feet. She didn't yell. She didn't toss her racket up against the wall. She did not request security or an I apologize. She just strolled over to where Naklo continued to yell at an official, still only gesticulating erratically, still seeking redress for alleged wrongs, something she could only imagine. Eala stood there fully at ease. Calm, with a queen-like gaze down someone who was acting out in her throne chamber. Her eyes were cold. It sliced amid all the commotion and noise like a laser. Naklo's sentence in another complaint abruptly stopped speaking. The authorities who had been attempting to soothe, she automatically took a step back. There was stillness in the corridor. Seemed more oppressive and heavier than any the stadium's loudness had been merely 20 minutes before. Everyone in attendance realized what they were seeing anything important. Alex Eala appeared Thasapor Naklo's eyes. She didn't blink. She did not break an eye, touch for even a little moment. Then, with the type of catastrophic serenity that only really assured as far as anybody can gather, she gave a one sentence that concluded the whole dispute right away. She said with fearsome calmness, "The scoreboard doesn't give a damn about your origin. It only cared who prevailed." Boom. Dropped the microphone. The game over. The small number of Filipino employees and impartial onlookers who were sufficiently near to hear erupted and hardly contained cheers. The closure was ideal. It wasn't intimate. It wasn't unpleasant. It wasn't petty. It was just the chill, harsh, indisputable facts presented with surgical accuracy. Naklo remained still, lips slightly open, the face taking on a deep red hue that was unrelated to with physical effort. There wasn't rebut such assertion. There isn't response to the scoreboard. 61-64 game set match. Facts are unconcerned about your scoreboards and emotions are truthful. Eala had just lessened the whole outburst, all the charges, all the disdain for an actuality, the desperate flailing of a person unable to accept thought they had received a fair and impartial defeat. Without awaiting a reply, without providing Naklo with the fulfillment of an ongoing conflict, Alex placed her tennis bag over her shoulder and turned to go without gazing back. She competed for a gold medal. To get ready for. She was too busy to squander money on noise. Serena Williams is that person. Level. Championship mindset. That is what distinguishes players who win titles from athletes who provide justifications. The fan response to this occurrence has been consistently strong and split along national boundaries. Filipino admirers have saturated social media with hashtags like as Honor Eala and the game. They're requesting that Naklo provide a formal apologizing in public. They're requesting penalties. They're exchanging and reposting video footage of the game, the icy handshake, and each and every bit of information that has been disclosed about the incident in the locker room. The substance of the video is being shared on TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook, accumulating millions of views and producing thousands of passionate remarks. Filipino sports enthusiasts who have observed their tennis program has difficulties because Thailand ruled for decades, have a champion at last to support, and they won't tolerate disrespect in the direction of her sliding. This competition isn't departing at any moment. Actually, it's most likely just started. Eala as well as Naklo are both young enough to be up against one another for years to come. At the Asian Championships, the SEA Games, and possibly on the WTA Tour as both keep moving up the ranks. Additionally, when they reunite, you can definitely ensure that the environment will be even more erratic. The animosity has been established. The lines of battle have been sketched. The SEA Games competition might include over, yet the conflict between these two athletes and their respective countries' fan bases are just getting started. Every future match will bear the burden of what took place in Nabui. Each handshake will be closely examined. Each and every clothesline call will be discussed incessantly on the internet. Thus, what will happen to the golden girl of the Philippines? This SEA Games gold medal fastened and dangling around her neck, Eala has triumphed. Tennis in Southeast Asia. She has nothing left to demonstrate in the area. She's arrived at the top. However, champions don't cease ascending just because they've attained a single summit. Now, her eyes are fully focused on greater rewards. Shattering entered the top 50 of the WTA, taking home victories on the professional circuit and ultimately deep runs at the Grand Slam competitions. The route is obvious. There is no denying talent. The mental toughness has been shown beyond any doubt. However, this Thai week will be regarded as a pivotal moment in her professional life. That was the week that Alex Eala ceased to be a youthful, hopeful talent and evolved into something different completely. She earned her certification as a boss. She demonstrated her ability to manage not only the tennis, but all the filthy elements of professional athletics, the intellect games, the antagonistic audiences, and the trash discourse, politics, disdain, and still emerged spotless on the other side. She did more than merely defeat Thasapor Naklo with exceptional improved fitness and shot-making. She defeated her with poise, elegance, and one flawlessly provided line that will be cited in the history of Filipino sports eternally. Additionally, the occurrence raises more general concerns about sportsmanship in regional contests and how athletes manage the extreme strain of representing their nations. Should there are repercussions for Naklo's outburst? Should organizers of tournaments establish more stringent procedures for behavior after the game? If there is training on cultural awareness for athletes taking part in these intense, put pressure on regional competitions? These are discussions that are worthwhile, but they shouldn't overwhelm the main story that Alex Eala entered the flames and turned into pure gold. Since this narrative keeps evolving and spark conversation across the Southeast Asia and the tennis world at large, one the situation is still quite obvious. The scoreboard is truthful. It is indifferent. The home court advantage. It doesn't worry about boisterous crowds or nationalistic rivalries, perhaps the loudest screamer in a space for lockers. It is solely concerned with who played better tennis when it was important. Most. Additionally, in Naburi, Thailand, at the 33rd SEA Games in December, Alex Eala played the greatest tennis. She was worthy of the regardless of who wants to offer it, respect to her or not. That cannot be disputed. That cannot be interpreted in any way. That's simply the facts. We now want to hear from you, as this narrative has produced strong views on both sides. Was it merely heat that caused Naklo to lose his temper? Of the moment annoyance that should be overlooked and forgiven? Or does she owe the Filipino people, Eala and Alex a public apology? Do you believe Eala's was the comeback line the ideal answer? Or ought she to have spoken more? Should there are repercussions for unsportsmanlike behavior that occurs off the court in regions designated for players? How do you believe that this competition will occur when do these two cross paths again? Because you are aware they most certainly will. Let your ideas flow in the space provided for comments, because we're fostering a sense of community at Champions Tennis, and we're interested in hearing every viewpoint on this amazing tale. Should first of all, you've come this far. We appreciate your perseverance throughout this thorough exploration of one of the strangest tales to emerge from the SEA Games in years. We put our all into bringing you the narratives that the mainstream sports media either sanitizes or overlooks beyond acknowledgement. We don't hesitate to convey the drama, say it as it is, to reveal the conflict and to rejoice the heroes who triumph above everything. However, to continue, we need your assistance. Want to expand this group of enthusiastic tennis enthusiasts who are interested in the truth. Thus, this is what we're requesting. If you had fun, if this tale made you feel anything, if you gained new knowledge, you saw this circumstance in a different, please give this a thumbs up angle. The like button may seem little, but it really helps in the algorithms display our content to additional individuals that like as much as you do about tennis drama. Distribute, share with your loved ones, friends, your group chat for tennis, anybody who enjoys compelling sports narratives, anyone who should be informed about Alex Eala's icy reaction to contempt. Post it on your social media accounts. Obtain the dialogue that is taking place in your circles. Moreover, above all, if you haven't get a Champions Tennis subscription already, at this moment, we are the exclusive channel offering the unvarnished behind-the-scenes truth about what really occurs in the world of tennis. When the cameras are off as the press briefings come to a conclusion, we can feel the pulse of tennis drama. Grand slams to regional competitions, from the WTA and ADP visits the junior circuits, where the stars of future are emerging. Hit that subscribe button and activate alerts to ensure you never miss a story. Eala vs Naklo will be monitored. Rivalry as it progresses. Should Naklo apologizes or makes a statement, this is where you will first learn about it. Should these two are attracted to one another. Once again, we'll discuss it with the same intensity and fervor. If any further developments in this tale, any further information that comes to light, any repercussions or reactions from tennis officials, Champions Tennis will take place. Above it, This is just the start of what is expected to be among the most strong rivalries in Southeast Asia history of tennis. Additionally, we will be recording each chapter here. Until next time, pay attention to the ball. Continue to remain enthusiastic about this lovely sport, and keep in mind the lesson that Alex, we were all trained by Ella, not the Bori.